a good moment to start, and I will invite other people in, and Roger is helping us by admitting people. So that's part of how this works. And let's get started. And I'm very happy to see you all. I'm going to hopefully, all right, enough of that. So introducing the topic, and I think you all know the topic, and I just want you all to know this is from Daybreak Adult Care Centers in Alameda County. And about me, I think you all know, the people that are here, that I'm a geriatric specialist, physical therapist, and this is information about Daybreak. I've worked in the field for at least 25 years. Who can even remember anymore? Oh, look, we now have a different presentation. How did that happen? That is not desirable. Okay, people. Here we go. I don't know how that happened, but. Okay, so here we are with my first screen about exercise for older adults, and I'm going to really focus on the why and how, obviously, but it is a pretty involved subject with the do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. I'm going to try to really boil it down to something that feels doable and desirable. So my first slide here really about the subject itself is to show you these 4 kinds of exercise that are recommended for older adults. Okay, so let's just take a minute to look at these 4, because I'm going to come back to this a few times, kind of fleshing it out, if you will. So the first one, as you can see, is endurance. It's also, people call it aerobic exercise. And as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about it in more depth, but the simple version of this is it's just exercise with no stopping to catch your breath. So it's not so hard that you get out of breath very much, but just enough to develop your endurance capacity. And I'll talk more about that. Next one, of course, is flexibility. And as we age, we get stiffer and stiffer. This is normal aging. And like all of these parameters about your physical well-being, aging takes its toll, and exercise really keeps you young. It really is the fountain of youth that, what's his name? Ponce de Leon, I think. The next one is balance. An actual balance exercise is what is proven, evidence-based, to be super important in maintaining your balance and preventing falls. So all of these different kinds of exercise are important, essential, but balance is the one that really is related to maintaining your balance and preventing falls. And of course, I will talk more about that. And last but not least is strength, and lifting barbells, working on weight machines, doing push-ups or chin-ups. Wow, really? Using exercise bands. There are different ways to work on strength. And though in the past people thought strengthening exercise was for young people, and in particular men, I think that's the way we grew up, those of us in my age group, but there's been amazing, important studies. Strength for older adults is key. More on this later. Okay, next. All right, so, how did we get to even more? Okay, here we go. So I wanted to give you the reasons why, and there's a lot of articles in the newspaper about this. I have 11 different reasons. I'm sure there's more of them, but they are compelling. Of course, stronger muscles, which prevent the natural aging process from more and more weakness, which is normal aging. You can prevent that. You can keep strong. You can get stronger. Of course, independence with strength. You can keep your independence. Falls already mentioned. Important about your cognition is enhanced with exercise, right? Big deal, right? Better mood also. Many studies, improved immunity, faster recovery from hospitalization, better sleep, better blood sugar control, prevent bone loss. Like, you all know all these things, right? I love the head nodding. Anybody out there head nodding? You know all these things, yeah. And now this one is my favorite: manage arthritic pain. Okay, many people think pain is a reason to not exercise. Okay, so this is really near and dear to my heart. Arthritic pain responds well to exercise. Just think about the fact that when you get up in the morning, you have more pain. Just if you have arthritic pain, which if you don't, you're a very fortunate person, it's likely that you feel it more in the morning when you haven't been moving at all night. I've given you three websites here, 3 links with wonderful information about what to do for arthritic pain. And that is just your garden variety, wear and tear, arthritis, knees, ankles, feet, back, neck, elbows, all of that. It's pretty garden variety. And there are special exercises when you're in the acute stage of arthritis, and that's a time to rest and ice. That gets deeper into the subject, but if you're interested, take a look at these websites. And moving to the next slide. Okay, so here's the important for most folks who are not. If you're here and you're already exercising, then you can sleep through this. But here's the thing: you really can't start at the place you want to be. You have to start at the place you are. So if you've been spending a lot of time on your couch and you find it hard to get up, and you just don't feel like exercising, you have to start slow. And this website here, caretostayhome.com benefits, will give you some good ideas about that. And I want to show you, yes, I want to show you this. These are the reasons why not to exercise. And I really felt like I could hear you thinking these things. If you are not already a hardcore exerciser, actually, I know you all are pretty much exercisers, but these are the things that people feel about starting to exercise. They feel like they are too tired. Like, who could exercise when you're feeling as tired as I do? Perhaps you're already in a lot of pain, chronic pain, everything aches. How can you start an exercise program? Well, exercise usually requires standing up, not necessarily, but maybe you just think, oh my God, I can't do that. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on, and you get the idea. Here, last but not least, I never did exercise. You really think I could start now? That's a ridiculous idea, but yes, that is what I'm suggesting. I will take a breath now so that you all can breathe as well. These next 2 slides are recommended questions to ask your doctor before you start an exercise program. The first one is the plan, okay? What is your plan? What is the right kind of exercise for you? And you can get help possibly from your doctor or from a physical therapist or even a personal trainer. So that was number 1 from the NIH. And then if you have different kinds of medical conditions, what should you know? If you have arthritis, how do you start? If you have diabetes, how do you manage your blood sugar? If you have heart disease, is your condition stable? Okay, and here it asks some questions about chest pain and pressure. If you have unstable symptoms, unstable angina, work with your doctor and get there okay before you start. And then you will find, and I hope your doctor encourages you to continue, because it will help you get stronger in that capacity, your heart and your lungs. I already talked about arthritis, diabetes. I mentioned, I wanted to say a bit about Parkinson's and stroke. There are amazing studies about Parkinson's and using exercise. And here's a great article from the NCBI, which is the it's a collection of medical and scientific articles. So that's a great source of information. And of course, preventative care. So you know, your doctor knows where you're starting. I'm going to leave a moment here for you to ask questions, because this is, you know, not as much fun, but I'm just going over the 4 kinds of exercise again. And I think many of you who are in this webinar now are pretty familiar. But aerobics, I wanted to say, how do you know what's enough and what's not, what's too much? And here we have the guidance of, you want to do exercise where you are a little out of breath, but not so much that you can't hold a conversation. And these 2 websites will give you a lot more good information about that, as well as target heart rate, which is getting sort of down and dirty. So there's, you know, many levels of this to get into, but aerobics is super important. Balance, as I said, like trying to stand on 1 foot, taking your time, we'll talk about that more. Strengthening and flexibility. Flexibility, I mentioned restorative yoga here. And if that's something you're interested in, please feel free to ask questions or email us, and I can give you more information about that. And this is an article about yoga and PT. And I thought it was worth sharing with you if you're interested. So generally speaking, 2 days a week of strength training is the ticket, and a day of rest between. All 4 kinds of exercise, creating a habit. And here we have the CDC recommendation, which is basically, and I think you might have seen this before, they say 150 minutes a week or 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's moderate intensity. Or vigorous 75 minutes a week. 2 days a week of strengthening and balance. So that's just general. Here I put in a slide about creating good habits, and I highly recommend that if you're trying to do this, that you keep track of your efforts, maybe write it on your calendar, and you know, kind of keeping track. I did this today, and then tomorrow maybe you do that, and you can look back. Very helpful. Music, yeah, I have to say, I really believe in the use of music for facilitating and enjoying exercise, whether you're walking or riding your exercise bike, or even aquatic exercise. Often the teachers will have music. Music is so helpful. Recipe for strengthening. I have a recipe here for those of you that want to do it on your own. And I'm not going to go over this in great detail. There's such a thing as sets. And what is that? And you work on 1 muscle group at a time while the other one is resting, and different ways to get resistance. And that is all about strengthening. And here I show you some good websites and a good book. This is a wonderful book, Strong Women Stay Young, which I highly recommend. Yeah, I just looking at all of you, and I know you all already know this. Oh, there we go. Here we have evidence-based exercise programs. These are ready-made. These are packaged. These are evidence-based. You can go to any one of these 15 programs and you can get them online. You can find them in your neighborhood possibly. There's Tai Chi, there's the arthritis program, walking. There's an amazing program called Bingo Size. Yeah, wow, I love Bingo Size. If you can imagine what that is. And please check that out if you're looking for the something that comes prepackaged and it's really helpful. Yeah, so this is all. Here we have the getting up and down from the floor. So these are things you can come back to. And I have a couple websites for you on that. Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about balance and progressing balance. So, you know, if you start with just standing with your feet together, you're standing, and you find that that is not challenging for you, then try closing your eyes. And if you find that that is a little bit challenging for you, stay with that. If that isn't challenging for you, then put one foot in front of the other, heel to toe, kind of a tandem stance. And if that's too easy, close your eyes. I am giving you the idea of what the progression is, what a progression is, and this website that I've given you here will give you some clues as to that. I will send out a PDF of this. If you ask me, we will have this available on YouTube. If you want to watch this whole thing again, I can't imagine, but it's possible. But we will send you the PDF with these websites. Just let me know you are interested, okay? Yeah. Okay, so here is a list of aerobic exercises. I'm thinking you know already. Dancing, swimming, aerobic, water aerobics, rowing, housework, treadmill. I have to say, treadmill is an amazingly wonderful exercise for older adults because you can control the speed. You have something to hold on to. You can even increase the going uphill, the lift. The walking uphill, it could be just a teeny bit or more, which is just an amazing tool for increasing your aerobic capacity. I highly recommend that if you're going to a gym or by some chance you have a treadmill. So I wanted to talk about falling off the wagon. You know, you started your exercise program, but, you know, you got a cold and you just stopped exercising and it's just hard to start again. Or maybe you or your loved one was hospitalized and you're back home and you really have to start over again. That is really a big part of exercising for older adults. So I really felt I needed to address that. And here we are next. Okay, my favorite part. So here we have the true life stories of human beings that I have worked with and that have shared their story with me. And I'll start off with the one with my dear friend from childhood, Nettie. And there she is. Oh, yes. Hi, Ani. I see you now. And there is, I can't tell. I don't see you all at once. So you forgive me if I haven't noted your presence. But Nettie, you're there. And if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little wave. Oh. And you can see there's Nettie. And there's her picture. Okay. And there's her beautiful husband, Dave, who is not happy because he just got home from the hospital, something like that. Approximately, and there's their lovely helper Isabel and their gorgeous dog Courage, who's gone to heaven. All right. So here's Nettie's write-up she did for me. I said, Nettie, you've told me so much about your exercise. Would you write it up for me? So she did. And I have highlighted here this paragraph. And Nettie, would you like to read it or do you want me to?
Go ahead, because it's too small for me to read it.
Okay. All righty. She writes, at first, I resisted adding this job, that is exercising with her husband. I resisted adding that into my caregiver duties. But soon the exercise routine became a wonderful positive feedback loop, both for his health and for our relationship. Although Dave, her husband, hasn't recovered all his abilities from before his strokes, he is becoming stronger and more able. And even his mind is clearer. We both feel better after we do the exercise, and they have become a sweet bond between us. Oh my God. Thank you, Nettie, for sharing that. It is just beautiful.
Can I add one thing to that?
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since then, talking has become harder and harder for Dave because he has Parkinsonisms. But exercising has just become like a language for us to share with each other. And it's really a very happy part of our day.
I understand that to mean it's part of being able to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot more to communication than words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Nettie. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. My pleasure.
Next one is Pam. Also, the beautiful Pam is here with us, and I'm going to try to find your beautiful picture here somewhere. Oh, there. There you are, Pam. Wave to us. You have a hurt hand. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Pam. This is Pam and Roy, okay? In a family gathering. And you can see here that Roy is struggling to stand up, and this has to do with the progression of Alzheimer's. Did I get that more or less right, Pam? Yeah.
Yeah. Dementia minimum, vascular dementia.
Oh, not Alzheimer's, vascular dementia. Okay, the progression of that process, and this is a postural, and really, this is what you expect in this kind of process. But he and she participated in an exercise program online, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. And he did participate, and he did hear us. And he couldn't necessarily do all we were doing, but he knew what we were doing on some level. Do you want to talk about it a little bit, Pam? Can you?
Well, we both did the exercises next to each other for a very long time. But then when he became bedridden, we had his bed in the dining room, and I just kept doing the exercises with Susan, and he thought he was doing them with Susan, and she would talk to him and he would respond, and he was just very enthusiastic, but with the whole exercise program, even though he wasn't standing on his 2 feet, he was in bed and he just could hear the music, and he kind of moved around a little bit, and he thought he was a participant, and it was really a very positive time for him in that experience. It was, during the pandemic and isolation. So it was a nice connection with the outside world and with Susan and the other people in the class. It was a special time.
I think that really speaks to what Nettie was saying about communication and exercise and the connection between the caregiver and your loved one. Exercise is just offers so much on so many levels. And the next story I'll go to is, there we see Nat and Anne, and there's Anne now waving to us. And if you wouldn't mind, do that again. And there's And there's
You're
Anne,
right.
I mean, Nat herself, the famous, the
Hey,
one, the
Mom.
only.
Mom.
Oh God. Okay, well, I'll start telling your story. Okay, and maybe Nat will make it into the picture. So first of all, I want to say Nat is 104 years young. Did I get that right, Anne? 104, yeah. Okay, and
Here.
she and oh, there she is. Oh, there you are.
Wow.
Oh, my beautiful friend. They both
Oh my God.
exercise in the class that Pam was talking about. So here's the story, and Nat, please, and Anne, please tell me if I get anything wrong. Okay, so you're 104, right? Did I get
Yes,
that right?
yes, yes. It's 104.
Okay, we got that. Okay. And one day you were out listening to music in the beautiful Maui, where you live.
Do you want me to tell the story?
Oh my God, please do.
Okay. So every week we go down to the beach park and hear friends play music. And we get up and dance. And we were turning and Mom fell and broke her hip.
Wow.
She got pins and rods, but there was a failure of that fixation. So she went back 3 weeks later for a total hip replacement. Or actually not total, socket, hip replacement. And so after 5 weeks, we were home again. And we've been exercising and getting Susan's excellent care. We're neighbors, so Susan would stop by and exercise with Mom. And sometimes she'd have her class right here in our living room. Class right here in our living room. So Mom and I participate together in her classes and enjoy it so much. It's a highlight.
Well, isn't this nice to meet these good people?
Yeah, it's nice to meet good people.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so powerful to hear stories and meet people. Thank you so much. Yeah. So here's the Get Your Zoom On class. I had to, of course, tell you more about that. And many of you who are participating in this webinar already know about it. It is free, and I really love to work with people who consider it difficult to get up and exercise. Those are my people. Come and see me and email me and start the exercise program if you're interested. That's just one way to do this. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna get this, people. Keep the faith. I got this. Here's just the deal. This is what the CDC says. I mean, really, who does all this? 150 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I just want you to know that this is what's out there for the recommendation. But I'm telling you, if you just start walking, if you're not doing that, if you're already walking, if you start doing some balance exercises and strength exercises, this is what you're aiming for, but anything is great. Okay, so just to finish here, I am quoting here Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's the destination, it's not the destination, like we're not trying to get anywhere. It's the journey. So get up, stand up, do what you can, enjoy moving, because there is so much to it. There are reasons people don't start, but it's really worth the effort. And here is my last but not least slide. And I'm going to get it here. There we go. Yeah, so yeah, we will be, as you know, we recorded this, and it will be available through our website, recording of this webinar. Yeah, weekly newsletter. And as I mentioned, I'm happy to send you a copy of the PDF of this, so you have all the websites that I have cited, some of which may be very helpful for you. And now let's just see if anybody has any cool questions. And I'm going to stop the screen share. Okay, so there you all in all your beautifulness, everyone. And I would love to hear your questions or comments or whatever, yeah, that you think would be helpful for you or add richness to others.
Yeah, you are good.
Well, I'd like to add something about the salute to the sun in your exercise class.
Okay.
Can most people do that? I find that very hard.
The salute to the, yes, the salute to the sun. Ani, you participate in that, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. And it's not, there is a full exercise of that, I believe, in yoga, but what we do is more moderated. It's like what Susan says, you start out where you are, and you can do that with this. And I found that I have increased my ability to do it more and more as I've done it more and more. I also was sort of intimidated by taking the Monday class because I was always taking the Thursday class. And I have found it ended up not being so intimidating, but it does require a lot of strength and a willingness to take it step by step.
Good advice. That's good. Yes, well, I look forward to getting back to it. Once I can actually do the stretch bands and work on things again, I'll be back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Nettie.
Question. If you're doing the different kinds of exercising, what, tell me more about resting, about, like, should you not exercise every day or certain kinds of exercise every day, or just explain to me more about rest.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Yeah, the questions are so helpful. It just kind of brings forward the information. What is recommended is for strength exercise that you do it 2 days a week with a rest day in between. Okay, that is kind of across the board strengthening. 2 days a week is the minimum that will help you get stronger, and a rest day in between. For aerobic exercise, they recommend 5 to 7 days a week. And yeah, so that's a whole different animal, if you will. And, if you go to the CDC recommendation for older adults, it sort of gives you the prescription, if you will. But, they recommend 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or 150, you do your best with this. But the strengthening exercise is quite specific. Yeah.
And to strengthen, do you need to be increasing the weight you're using or the amount you're doing, or can you just keep doing the same thing?
Well, ideally, especially if you're working in a gym, you can easily increase the resistance and get stronger and stronger. I mean, wouldn't that be, that's ideal. But if you're working in a group like online where you're using resistance bands, I do have heavier resistance bands to give people, but it's pretty complicated to give people a new resistance band. I only have 3 levels, and they stretch out as you do it. So I have to say that is ideal if you really want to get stronger and stronger, and that's a great idea. It's really, you either need weights that you can add to, like barbells you can add to, but that's getting more, into the weeds, if you will, of how to just to maintain your strength, to build your strength. That's already, you can come a long way just participating in a class like I'm doing, or the other link that I showed on the screen. And you can even look it up, strength training for older adults, and you'll find You'll find a lot of them there. Yeah.
Cool.
And strength training is kind of technical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Speaking of weeds, what about gardening? Where does that fit in is that strengthening or is that more aerobic? What would it be?
Yeah. Well, if I could ask you all to make a wild and woolly guess, what would you think? Just, because what is your sense about it? I mean, I think it depends if you're lifting bricks to build a moat, that would be strength, of course. But it wouldn't be a progressive strengthening exercise program because you'd probably only do it once, right? I mean, gardening and housework and playing with your children and going to a dance class, that is really more endurance. I mean, I think you could safely say it's endurance. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it depends where you're starting. Yes, Ani, please.
I was going to say though, it's not just the moat stuff with the bricks, but if you're bending your body so much, and I find that to be, I do stretch afterwards because wow. So that's what I find to be the most difficult is weeding around and moving around and doing all of that and then planting, and you really use your back and your hips and your everything. So yeah, I mean, it's not just aerobic things. So what would you say about that?
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, thank you for that because that really brings up the issue of exercise and arthritis. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is hard on your back to bend over and stand up over and over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are body mechanics that you probably have all heard of, body mechanics. How do you lift safely? But if you're gardening, you really end up doing a lot of reaching down. One of the things, there's many things, okay, but I'll just begin to talk about it, is you can make gardening raised benches, okay?
Yeah.
If you have arthritis in your back, that's probably a good thing to do, or the other possibility is to have a stool you sit on and roll around. So you don't have the whole weight of your back from, that you're actually somewhat supported as you bend down while sitting on a stool. Yeah. So body mechanics and what's good for your arthritic problems. And, everybody goes, oh, arthritis, that sounds horrible. Arthritis is normal wear and tear with aging, and there's different degrees of it. Not everybody has it equally, but I just want to detoxify the idea that people have arthritis. It's pretty normal as you age. So you do have to be cautious of your body mechanics. Does this make sense? Is it helpful?
Yeah. Yes, you can get pretty sore after gardening if you don't pay attention to how to bend and sit and twist, and there's a lot of stretching up and down, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add
And
one more thing, or question, one more thing. We are on a hill, so that's been challenging always. And so I find like it's kind of good because I can move around a lot and try to since I've been doing your class, for example, I'm able to have a lot more flexibility and go down the hill more easily without any fear of falling. But it isn't easy, is all I'm saying. Yeah, it's a body mechanics thing to be aware of.
Oh, let me speak to that, Ani, to that statement. It isn't easy. Okay. Being physically active is not something that people would call easy. It's invigorating. Would you say that? Yeah. It will add to your energy, but it's not easy. Okay. So not in that realm. So finding a rhythm to doing exercise and then resting, not too much, not too little, is really crucial. yeah, does that make sense to folks? There's so much to the subject, but I want to be encouraging about how important exercise is. And thank you so much, Ani, for sharing kind of some of the benefits you've experienced. Yeah, and Julie, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to share in any way here, that would be lovely. Please don't feel that you should or you need to, but I know you're dealing with some not easy issues around arthritic problems.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for doing this today, because as you know, I was going to your class pretty faithfully. And then I hurt my back. Walking is painful, standing is painful. Falling is very scary. I have been falling a lot. I don't fall right now because I'm super careful not to fall. But I went to the doctor and she said, I don't like the way that your body is, and I want you to have home health physical therapy. I don't want you to have to go out to physical therapy. So I got home health physical therapy. And they said I could have 4 times. He came last week and he said, now is your last day. And I said, you said I could have 4 times, not just 3. But you know what? I don't think he's good for me, because he keeps telling me, you're doing great, you're doing great. And I feel like I'm going to fall. So it doesn't help me. When you are encouraging, it helps me. I don't have arthritis. I have spondylosis or some other word that I don't remember. I have had a procedure which was called an ablation of the nerves in my lower spine, which is like to melt them. And it's been 5 weeks today, and it's not helping me. And I keep writing to the doctor, and they keep having me wait and wait and wait. But in the meantime, when I walk, when I stand, my back hurts. I don't like to do it because my back hurts. I do try to do balancing exercises and not holding on to the sink, but have my hands close. But you are the one who really has encouraged me. I'm here. That is an accomplishment to me. And I want to come back to our class because
Yeah.
I can feel stronger, even if I only do what you said, the things at the beginning, because I'm very discouraged.
Yes.
It's been
Yes.
a whole year and I can't walk and I can't go anywhere. And I think just starting with your class is a good place for me, and trying to do things that I can do, like the balance bite with having my hands like
Yeah.
this. But I'm not sure where to go from here,
Yeah.
because they don't want to give me more physical therapy at Kaiser. They recommended some other place to get PT. They said they only do it if your insurance pays for it. And I said, I'll pay for it. I'll give you the money out of my own pocket. And they said, no, we don't do that.
Oh, that's bizarre. There should be, if you can pay for it yourself, there should be some PT practices out there in your, not too far from you. I don't know if you're talking about people coming to your house that they don't do, but I can't imagine people would not let you pay for services. So I'm confused by that. But let me just say, in general, about what you're talking about, you in particular, but the bigger issue of progression. Where do you start? What's the right place to start from? If you start too much, you will just feel discouraged, and it will just bring you back to the beginning place, but not feel hopeful that you can start again. So progression is a huge thing. And it sounds like working on your balance, Julie, in standing is not where it's at. If you can't stand for any length of time without pain, balance is not something you want to work on in standing, okay? You need to increase your tolerance to your back being, supported, even beginning in sitting, okay? So the point I want to get across here is progression. And, you didn't get enough PT, in my view, yeah. Okay, that's a sad reality of our medical health care system, I would say. But it is not to say that exercise is not something that will help you. So come into the class where we do the first part in sitting, and we're working on strength in the upper body. Let's start there. And the other thing is certainly exercise to do in laying down. There's so many good exercises. Have any of you heard of bridging? Anybody know what bridging is?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Yes? Nobody here? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to show you here real quick because we still have a little time left. And I'm going to show you what bridging is, okay? There we go. Sort of. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Bridging. Okay, I'm on the floor, but you may not be on the floor. You may be on your bed, Julie. Yeah. Okay, and you're on your back and you got your feet planted on the floor. Can you do this position, Julie? Maybe? I hope so. Okay,
I can do that on my bed.
that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's bridging. You lift up your booty. Okay, now if you have back pain, you may not be able to lift much more than this. Or you may only be able to just start to lift before you have pain. If you don't have back pain, bridging is a good exercise for strengthening. And you can even work on trunk control by lifting one leg at a time. Okay, so bridging, and I now have a cramp in my hamstring, just so you know, I'm one of you. Simple exercise, bridging. You guys got the idea of what bridging is? Those of you that didn't know, yeah. Okay, well, you can see how bridging could be progressed to be an exercise that just begins to give you core strength and gluteus strength, the whole ball of wax. Yeah. And you can do it in a way that will just activate those muscles. And that is what you need, Julie, without causing pain. Discomfort is one thing. Pain is another. And pain, actual pain is inhibiting of strengthening. You can't strengthen anything if you have pain when you do it, because your body goes, I'm not doing that. Right? So this has been a wonderful opportunity to really talk about really the depth, the complexity of exercise for older adults. I appreciate so much all your questions. Let me know if you want the PDF with all the links and, like how could you possibly have gotten it otherwise? And as I said, the newsletter will have a rerun of this recorded. And anybody else want a final hallelujah here?
Well, I have one question and then I'm going to need to go, but for the bridge to be really safe, is it good to like squeeze a ball between your legs or something like that?
If you have a ball between your legs, that activates the muscles on the inside of your thigh. So it gives the whole trunk, the whole core kind of more solidness. Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's good to put, a ball between your legs. I don't think it's like a have to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking just because sometimes I feel like the bridge can hurt me to do
Okay.
it.
And when you use a ball and you're squeezing it between your legs, you have less pain?
Um, Somehow it feels more like a security thing.
It is. It activates another set of muscles in your whole core. It absolutely does. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
thank you.
Julie. Yeah.
What do you think about the Sit and Be Fit television program?
I think it's worth a try.
I used to like to do it, but then everything was hurting so much I stopped.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you can do it without pain, discomfort is one thing, and when you have pain when exercising, you usually, a good sign is if it sort of eases up as you exercise. If it worsens as you exercise, yeah, that's a like no, 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 no. Make sense? All of this is very intuitive. So your body knows a lot. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So thank you, Nettie. I know you have to go. And others of you, thank you so much for coming. And feel free to email me, and let me know if you would like the PDF, blah, blah, blah. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Susan. See you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Thank you so much for helping me get started back on track.
My pleasure, my joy. Great. Thank you. Thank you for coming, Julie. Yeah. Great.